Mr. Hardik Kathuria, and he is going to talk on the topic of exploring Vedic approach to life and alternative lifestyle for sustainable environment. Yes, that's very logical moving forward from what Sean spoke. And let me introduce the speaker. Mr. Kathuria is an intern at Govardhan Eco Village and is in second year of his master's in environment management from Indraprastha University, Dwarka. So he is from Delhi, Indraprastha University, Delhi, Dwarka, and Eco Govardhan Village is near Mumbai. That is a project of ISKCON Mumbai, what we heard yesterday. He has written two research papers establishing the connection between science and spirituality and presented them in international and national conferences. Very good. So we have a young student who is presenting his findings. So over to you, Hardik.
Hare Krishna. My voice is audible clearly?
Yes, you're audible, loud and clear.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to ISS for organizing this wonderful conference. I've learned so much in this past, in these 2 days I'm learning still, and this is increasing my faith in what I'm doing tremendously and in the Vedic culture. So great people have spoken by speaking their years of research and experience. I seek all their blessings so that I can confirm the statements and the researches that they have presented. I would also like to express my gratitude to Dr. Aditi, who is present over here, who allowed me to intern in Govardhan Eco Village, where I could experience the Vedic life of principles. And this is what I will be talking about. So a lot has actually been said about consumerism, overconsumption of resources, and almost all the things have been covered very nicely. So I would just like to move forward on the topic itself that I chose. So this is a recent news. This is 3 days ago. Reliance is launching the world's largest submarine cable system, which will tremendously increase the speed of internet all over India. It is linking India and parts of Asia with Europe. Now, yes, the main concern about technology, India is a STEM country, science, technology, engineering, and management. The major concern is that each and every technology is focused only about humans and how humans can be benefited. This is what is called anthropocentrism, which was being explained yesterday by Professor Ravi Gupta. Now, this initiative was launched and there were no second thoughts, or there were not much consideration about how it will affect the submarine life. This is just an iota of the problems that surround us at present. Because we do not care for the nature, that is why we face a lot of problems. And so this happened 2 days ago. Cyclone Tokte, it sent its regards. All the plastic that was dumped in the ocean, it was dumped away by Cyclone Tokte into the land. For just putting some statistics, 9 trillion kgs of plastic has been produced till now. Only 9% has been recycled. 91% of it is thrown away, and most of it ends up in rivers, streams, and oceans. So many marine animals are dying because of this, but we are not concerned because it does not matter to us now. We are living a very peaceful life. That is what is the major problem of environment. So how was the Vedic lifestyle? I will focus directly on the Vedic approach so that I can also present something novel to the audience over here. There will be some very simple, which I believe are not very major changes or very drastic ideas, very simple statistics, but are very sustainable. For example, veg food. Vegetarian food is, the diet in Vedic. There was no alcohol, drugs, or non-vegetarian food. Now there are so many studies, the list is endless. A single person can save more water supply by not eating a pound of beef than by not showering for an entire month or for an entire year. तो it is like एक साल आप पूरा नहीं नहाते और एक साल आप सिर्फ एक पाउंड बीफ खा रहे हैं. The amount of water used is similar. Raising livestock gives 14.5% of global greenhouse gas emissions. It is the second highest source of carbon emissions, which is greater than all the transport combined. I'm talking about non-vegetarian food here. More than half of the water in US is used for livestock, and it accounts for 45% of Earth's total land. Meat industry is also responsible for 85% of all soil erosion in US. So by simply adopting vegetarian food, all these problems were solved in the Vedic culture. Houses made from natural material. The first pick is a pick from Govardhan Eco Village, which yesterday Gauranga Prabhu was speaking about. Green Building Initiative. Govardhan Eco Village has won many awards in this. Now, why I'm talking about natural principles, natural materials, because cement is actually a very great source of air pollution. Cement produces more pollution than all the trucks combined in the world. There are some statistics which show, this was a study by British Herald which said, if cement industry were a country, it would have produced the third largest emissions in the world, only after US and China. And cement accounts for 7% of all global emissions. So we have had many such things. Yesterday we had Malik ji talking about Gaucrete bricks, and then they were also talk about bamboo houses and bamboo construction by Professor Bhalla, which was reverberating the same thing. So actually we're talking about plastic. Plastic, of all the plastic that has been produced in past 60 years, a cement industry produces the same amount of waste every 2 years, which is quite startling. I was shocked to read this. And there are many such techniques which are being applied elsewhere to change the current form of constructions, getting away from cements and these things. So this is an Indian company, a growing venture by the name of Gili Mitti, which is making mud houses. They have started their projects in metro cities, and they are building resorts. A similar initiative like the green buildings that have been built in Govardhan Eco Village. This is the second. Third, farming. Farming was farming for food crops. Farming actually looks very layman, but Angus Madison, in his book, The World Economy, Historical Statistics of the World's Countries, he states that in the year 1500, now India still is an agrarian economy, but it was much before in the 1500s. He states that in the 1500s, India contributed to more than 25% of the world's GDP. Now the agrarian economy and the agricultural lands are gradually being converted into industries and then other construction houses, these things. But earlier it was not the case. Farming made a person self-sustainable because we had a land, and then we could grow crops, whatever crops, whether it is wheat and rice, and then we use some amount of that rice for that family's farmer's family, and the rest was sent or sold, exported, or other things. And then there was a small garden where cereals, dals, etc. could be grown, and that is how a family could live very nicely. Whatever was excess was stocked, and then it was sold. That is the point. Farming. Albert Howard is the developer of indoor method of composting, which we read, and he's written a book, Agricultural Testament. So he states that all the farming methods that are being followed currently in the world, I adopted this from India. So farming was a technique which was followed earlier and very self-sustainable and environmentally sustainable also. Why? This is a figure, this is a graph shown, our world in data, global land use for food production. So it tells of the total habitable land, which is 71%, 50% is used for agriculture, and out of that 50%, only a mere 23% is used for crops. The rest 77% is used in livestock grazing. And we all know how much problem we are facing from hunger, malnutrition, and these things. So there is a study which states that if the meat production is totally cut off, and then even if we don't use 75% of the world's land, still the whole population can be fed. So farming and then not eating non-vegetarian food, it contributes a lot. There is also a growing trend which shows that the demand for food has doubled from 1916 to 2016, but the amount of agricultural land devoted for agriculture has halved. That means there is a great pressure on the existing land for food production, and therefore a lot of pesticides and fertilizers are being used, which is again contributing to pollution, all sorts of pollution, and then so many diseases are springing up. Another simple practices was fresh food in banana leaves. There was no stocking. Fresh food, it was in banana leaves, and localized waste disposal. So banana leaves are very easy. There is absolutely no water wasted, and they are easily disposable. Every house had if not every house, there was a common area where all the biodegradable waste could be disposed. So there was no such thing as plastics, tin, styrofoam, single-use plastic, etc. For just revealing some statistics, 50% of all the plastic used is single-use plastic, and 500 billion plastic bags are manufactured worldwide. And every minute, it has been 6 minutes since I'm speaking, 6 million plastic bags have been produced till now. A plastic bag has a working life of only 15 minutes. So it is all contributing to wastage. A lot of plastic is used, a lot of single-use plastic is used only in this, eating, packaging, etc. So simple practice, but great benefits. So there is a German company by the name of Leaf Republic, which has now come up, producing very good leaf plates, etc., which is quite growing, and people are appreciating this because it is again biodegradable. But this was very relevant and it was easily practiced in Indian culture. Bulls and natural manure in farm. So there is a Zimbabwean ecologist and livestock farmer by the name of Alan Savory. He has 35 years of research into this, and he tells us that grazing animals, they actually help in increasing the fertility of the soil through the stomping they do, as well as releasing the cow dung, releasing the dung and urine as they pass by. It increases the fertility of the land, and even is possible to recover or reclaim desertified lands and making them into normal grasslands and croplands. So that was the point. Now bulls were used, now tractors are being used. Tractors are again causing pollution, and manures and fertilizers in farms, they are a great source of pollution. Soil pollution, later air pollution also. There have been great studies in this. Natural medicines and healing. Or just a small stat to state, the total global emissions from the pharmaceutical industries, it accounts to more emissions that are generated from the automotive sector. So the current pharmaceutical industries, allopath, etc. And like Mr. Sean Clark was just speaking, there are many ways of natural healing also. So Vedic culture practiced natural healing rather than depending upon the artificial ways. There was a natural lifestyle of living and our natural way to heal as well. Meditation and prayers was an important part. Now some might feel how meditation and prayer is environmentally sustainable, but it actually forms the basis of all spiritual principles, which was being taught in the last slide in the previous session itself. If we are following spiritual principles, I'll be discussing this, then automatically a person can live a sustainable life. One important point is that villages were self-sustainable, so there was not much need of people to travel for their basic needs, for their jobs or any other things outside. Like, see, basic needs, schools, food, healthcare, job, daily use items, everything was available in a village. It was very locally grown. So almost there was no industrialization. Industrialization cut shorts all the pollution. Even the transport was not much required. And there are many Indian companies. There is one company, Mitti Cool, who has received a lot of rewards
Sean, you
in the
have
past.
3 minutes.
Yes, 10 to 15 years it has been working. It has received tremendous awards in this. Lot has been appreciated in making earthen utensils. Another major point was strong community and relationships. Now, this is very important to consider. People had communities which were living together and there were strong interpersonal relationships. There was a study conducted by Harvard University. It was an 80-year-long study. Around 800 participants participated. The aim was to know what makes one happy. And the conclusion ultimately was it was relationships. Now, as we see with the trends, nuclear families, people spend time with gadgets, even if they're sitting together. So naturally, people think when they're not getting the pleasure required in relationships, they think that it is stuff which will make them happy, and this leads to consumerism, and then overconsumption of resources, and then the whole cycle starts of pollution and making towards are not environmentally sustainable. So the point I want to stress here is voluntary sustainability. Voluntary sustainability is possible. This is an excerpt from Dr. Sahadev Das. He has written a book, End of Modern Civilization. He states, in the US, there are 100 cars, 1,000 cars for every 1,000 adults. In Germany, it's 550 cars. And in India, there are 4 cars. It is a data from 2010. It is a bit old. But he was just stating, the point is, it is actually possible to live with less resources and lesser damage to the environment. But there is a psychological barrier. The psychological barrier is about my social image and these things, because people do not find it very cool to resorting to a simple lifestyle. It is more about show off. So how can this be tackled? This can be tackled through spirituality. So there are some spiritual principles that form the basis, and that form the basis of the Vedic lifestyle, and they were the reason why people were able to live a life of simplicity. Now, one may question ki, what I was talking about is quite old and the circumstances and trends have changed a lot. It is not possible to go back to the lifestyle, but there are some spiritual principles which we can involve. And when we imbibe that principles in our life, then things become very easy. Simple principle like simple lifestyle, considering the world as our own family. So when we understand that global warming will impact the whole world, not only me, then first world countries will not dump their waste into third world countries, because we see from a very practical example, Antarctica mein koi rehta nahi hai, but when there was an ozone hole over there, the whole world was impacted. So, and it is not only related to humans or others, but treating the whole nature and every living entity as mine. Then Prakriti is worshipable. Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, Bhumi Rappi Analovayu 7.4. Prakriti is worshipable because it is connected to God. I do not own the earth. It is not my property, but it is my responsibility, because I also account for the future generations. And utility is the principle I use as per need and not greed. There is a very nice sloka in the Ishopanishad, Tena Tyaktena Bunjita Mahagrida Kasisvidhanam. I only use what is required for me, and I do not take anyone else's property. I do not usurp that. And the philosophy of karma, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So if I do any wrong, I will have to face it. And with this, I end. It is up to us to decide desire management or disaster management. That is it, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. This is nicely concluded. Desire management or disaster management. If you don't manage your desire, then you will end up managing disaster. Okay, I think this is what we are seeing. The desire of the whole world is so high, and as a result of which, it is leading to a whole lot of climate change and pollution of the water, pollution of the air, and pollution of the mind and everything else. And as a result, ultimately, it is translating into disaster. whether at the individual level or at the family level or at the community or society level or eventually at the global level. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and how to make it cool, you said a simple Vedic lifestyle is not cool, especially among the youth. So the next research topic for you would be how to make it cool, how to make it appear cool among the youngsters. uh, we will
Yes, sir.
take a few questions now. Let me see if there are questions coming. Great, Hardik. Excellent, excellent presentation. You have any question? Kindly first slide. Share. Some people want to share get the slide. Amazing presentation. Great job. Ispan, look forward to your next generation leaders. Great, very inspiring session. People don't give up their born characteristics. That is from Professor Ram Babu. He says people don't give up their born characteristics irrespective of several situations. How do you look into this? So that's another topic for you to explore, how to make people overcome the characteristics that they are born with. Do you want to share some thoughts on that?
Uh, yes, I feel it is all about education and the association we get. Not no one is born intelligent, no one is born knowledgeable. So we all learn something. So it actually depends upon the association and the knowledge we are surrounding ourselves with. Because knowledge, there is a very simple flow. Knowledge, it builds up our wisdom, and wisdom builds up our actions. So actions are directly related to knowledge. So if we have the right knowledge, then we can definitely give this up. And of all knowledge, it also depends upon something practical that we are getting. And like it has been pointed out tremendous times, it requires a bit of, not a bit of, but actually spiritual principles to imbibe by, because then we can practically live that. Like I was sharing, I had heard a lot about this, but when I lived for a month and a half in Govardhan Eco Village, I was able to see that it is possible. All these things that we are discussing, we have been hearing about, they are being implemented, and there are many people, those who are doing this. So it is
Yes.
possible.
So, yeah, I think in that respect, I would like to quote what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam tve dvandamo nirmukta bhajante mam dradvata. So people bring, the characteristics, whatever inherent rajoguna, satoguna, tamoguna are brought forward and from the previous lives according to the karma, and then according to the upbringing and the association that one gets, they get either modulated or enhanced, and therefore it is important to ensure what is the right association, the right grooming in the beginning, imparting Vedic culture, Vedic knowledge to the young people, and then they will be less prone to be affected by materialistic inclination. So what is the next one? Lands for livestock is also used for dairy products. Why only meat production should be stopped? How to answer veganism versus vegetarianism?
Actually, if we go by the statistics, there is not much need of dairy products. Dairy products have the most dairy products are produced in India, but you see that there are specific lands that are being produced, that are being cleared only for livestock grazing. Now, I'll just try to answer in Hindi. The point is that कि जैसे rainforest है, the Amazon rainforest, we say that 55 square feet is cleared for production of 1 pound of beef. So एक्चुअल में वहां पे ज्यादा थ्रू मेडिसिन एंड थ्रू अदर थिंग्स उसको एक्सेस में प्रोड्यूस किया जा रहा है मीट के लिए, बिकॉज डेयरी प्रोडक्ट्स तो इंडिया में भी हैं, और लाइक अमोगलीला ब्रो वाज मेंशनिंग काउ प्रोडक्ट्स और उन सब के लिए भी आगे जाके यूज किया जा सकता है उसको, बट द काउज आर किल्ड अल्टीमेटली. सो द वैष्णव कल्चर इज अबाउट वेजिटेरियनिज्म, because dairy products and all these things are a great source of protein, which we do not get through any other methods. Veganism is actually a Western movement, और वो इतना prominence में इसलिए है because the animals and other livestock, they're not cared properly. But Indian culture is about, like Lord Krishna is Gopal, so we care for the animals. And Vaishnav culture is that treating every animal with respect, especially cows. Cows with special respect. They have been labeled as Mata.
Wonderful. So
veganism
wonderful.
is
Sorry. Okay, sorry. What I want to just add here is that the veganism is basically coming out of the concern for the particular animal, because in Western way of dairy industry, cows are considered more like an instrument, and the way they extract the milk is also with equipment, and that's where the blood is sucked out. Whereas in India, cows are taken care of pretty well, as you said, and they are respected, they are loved. Whereas there, it's just another animal, and the dairy industry formula is, after the age of the animal is over for giving milk, it has to be sent to the slaughterhouse. Whereas that was not, as of now. I mean, for last few years or last few decades, that was not the way how dairy industry was here in India. So with that, I think we come
I would just to add, just like to add one point over here. So we generally see in the lifetime of a cow generally produces one or at max two calves. But the pregnancy, like a cow can produce 4 calves before it is harmful. It damages its health. So what is being done in the livestock farms and these cattle farms is that they are being forcefully made pregnant, and then after delivering 4 calves, then they are retired. Retired means they are slaughtered. So it is again a forceful procedure instead of the natural process where only maximum 1 or 2 calves are produced in India.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. That was very good. You did a lot of hard work. Being a young student, you did a lot of research and data collection and presented it very logically. So thank you very much for that.